Welcome back. Today in this episode, I am going to discuss with you the punishment technique of decreasing problem behavior in children with special needs, and in fact these techniques are quite useful for normal children also. Now, there are 5 types of punishment techniques. Those are timeout, response cost, overcorrection, restraint, and aversion technique. Now let's start with timeout. Now this timeout technique is highly effective with problem behaviors that are self-injurious. Okay, in this technique we can do it 2 ways. Either we remove the child from that particular situation that he or she was enjoying, or we will remove that particular situation from the child. That is, where some reward is presented to the child, in those type of situations, in those type of cases, we generally present time out. For example, in a school situation, if the child enjoys music a lot and he or she is about to go to the music class, okay, then we can tell the child that don't show so and so problem behavior, then you will be allowed inside the classroom. Okay, the child goes to the music class, and inside the class also, if we see that the child is showing that particular problem behavior, then we can just ask him to leave that particular group and sit alone or stand alone in a corner of that particular room. That is, that child is no more allowed to enjoy the whole class, that is, to attend the class. At first timeout can be done for a short period of time, short duration, very short duration, like 2 minutes or 1 minute, like that. Okay, and if it's seen that that problem behavior is not decreasing, then we can just extend that particular duration. But if we try to do it reverse way, it will not work. For example, at first we put the child in timeout for 5 minutes, and then the problem behavior didn't decrease, and we reduce the time again for up to 3 minutes or 2 minutes or like that. It will not work at all. Okay, at first we need to give timeout to the child for like half a minute or 1 minute, then we can gradually increase that particular duration. And in most cases it is seen that in very short duration itself the problem behavior reduces, because since we take the child away from that particular situation that was being enjoyed by that particular child, it becomes very unbearable for that child, because he or she really loves to be in that situation. He or she really loves to attend that music class. Okay, that's why timeout is very effective. Then comes response cost. Now, in response cost, like if the child shows some problem behavior, he or she has to pay a cost for that. Now, what is this cost, or how will they pay? Well, generally response cost technique is used with some high functioning children with special needs. High functioning means, for example, the child is having intellectual disabilities, but it's of mild level or borderline. That is, if the child knows that I have to lose something already earned by me, okay, for showing some undesirable behavior, that is called response cost. And in that particular cases, those kind of children shows very good result with response cost technique. Response cost technique is generally used with those type of children who are on token economy. Token economy is generally used to increase desirable behavior in a particular child. Now, since the child is high functioning disabled one, he or she will easily understand that if I show some undesirable behavior, I will have to lose one token. That the loss that he or she will pay is very much well understood by them. Now I am showing you one token chart that's prepared by me. We all can do like this. Like for example, if the child shows one desirable behavior for one day, okay, that day he or she didn't show any problem behavior, that day we can give him one token. Token is not that piece, this piece of paper, okay. We can use some star or some like plastic cubes, or we can buy from market also. Tokens are available. So for one day we will give him or her one token. If the child shows that desirable behavior for 2 days, then he will earn one more. Again for another day he or she will earn one more, like that, and it goes on. But the thing is that we generally prepare a token chart for a maximum of 5 up to 5 tokens, because it also one kind of test of patience of that particular child, okay. That's why 5 tokens is enough for one particular chart. And another condition is that the child is at liberty to exchange his or her tokens at any time, at any moment. If the child wants to exchange one token, he or she will receive one chocolate, okay, one toffee, and for 2 tokens one balloon, for 3 tokens one ice cream, and for 4 tokens he or she will be coloring a beautiful drawing or painting. In this case what happens, like we need to know the interest of the child. Any activity if the child likes, we can prepare that way. And for 5 tokens the child will go to the park, he will be taken to the park by parents, okay, that way. And at any time the child can exchange tokens. Now how response cost is associated with children who is in token economy. What is this is that if the child shows one undesirable behavior, for example the child has already earned 3 tokens for example, and today the child shows some undesirable behavior, then he or she will lose 1 token. Now that particular child need to understand that I have lost something due to the undesirable behavior shown by me. That thing is done in response cost. The next point is overcorrection. This overcorrection again has 2 steps, we can say. One is restitutional overcorrection and the other is called positive practice. Now restitutional overcorrection is like we make the child correct the environment more than normal. One example I am giving here, like for example the child has a habit of tearing papers, okay, and he or she tears papers and it becomes scattered on one corner or one part of a particular room. For example, at home also, at school also we can use this technique quite easily, okay. Then what will we do? We will ask the child to pick up all the pieces of papers, not only thrown by him or her, but in fact from the whole room, from the floor. I am not telling about the dirty things, but like the dry garbage and dry piece of paper or pencil sharpenings and all these things the child can be asked to pick up as a cost for his making the floor, making a part of that particular room dirty. Then what happens? The child scattered his torn pieces of paper on one particular part of the floor of the room, but we asked him to clean the whole room. That is called restitutional overcorrection. Now, going ahead one more step is positive practice. Like, the child picks up the garbage as we asked him, and then we will ask the child to throw those garbage into the dustbin. It can very easily be done at the home situation also as well as at school situation. Okay, because in school also we do keep dustbins. Okay, so we told the child that you go and throw these things into the dustbin. Okay, and whenever you pick up garbage, you have to throw it into the dustbin. Garbage and dustbin, this relation the child will understand, and that we taught him this particular thing is called positive practice. Then comes restraint. In this technique, generally physical restraint is referred to, like by observing the child as a special educator or as a guardian, we come to know when the child is going to show a particular behavior, problem behavior. Okay, for example, the child has a habit of slapping others, for example, just think. Then what will happen? Whenever the child approaches the other person or his sibling or whoever it is, then we will come to know that he is approaching that particular person in order to slap. Okay, we came to know by observing him or her for so many days like that. Then what will we do? We will just hold his hand tightly, not that much tight, but little bit pressure we will put on both hands by holding both hands, so that that pressure doesn't allow him to take out the hands from my grip. That is called restraint. Okay, then comes our aversion technique. Aversion technique or aversion stimuli is such a thing where we keep ready some such things that is very much disliked by the child, but at the same time we need to be very much concerned about this particular point, that that particular aversive stimuli or particular object that we are keeping with us is not harmful for the child in any way. Okay, for example, the child doesn't like bitter taste, for example. Okay, and if the child shows some problem behavior, some self-injurious behavior like head banging or slapping hands against wall or like that, or behavior that are injurious to, harmful to others, these type of behaviors can very effectively be removed or decreased by this aversion technique. What will we do in aversion technique? Like, whenever the child shows that particular undesirable behavior, that self-injurious behavior or that behavior which is harmful for others, immediately after that we will present that aversive stimuli to that child. That is, we will put a small piece of bitter gourd in his mouth. Then what will happen? The child doesn't like this taste of bitter gourd at all. At the same time, bitter gourd is not harmful at all for the child. So that is aversive stimuli. And after that also, if the child shows that particular behavior, let's carry on, let's repeat with that. Whenever the child shows that particular undesirable behavior, immediately we need to present that aversive stimuli to that child. Okay, that particular thing which is not liked by the child at all. Then the child will be able to relate that whenever I show this particular behavior, I get this aversive stimuli, I get this bad taste, this bitter taste which I don't like at all. Okay, that way the child will start showing that problem behavior less frequently, and at times he will stop showing that particular problem behavior. That is called aversion. And in aversion, some mild electric shock is also presented to child, but being special educators, we don't know at all regarding this particular thing, that is the electric shock. And whenever it is done also, it is done at a structured environment in some experienced clinical psychologist chamber. So it's better for us not to use this technique by presenting electric shock to a particular child. Okay, and one important point we need to know is that in punishment techniques we came to know about 5 techniques, and when all other 4 techniques fail to work, then only we need to proceed for aversion. Okay, that is, aversion should be our last resort to decrease our problem behavior in a child. This is all in this episode. Let's meet again in my next episode, where I will discuss about differential reinforcements. Thank you so much.